Hello students, welcome back to Business and Entrepreneurship Education Grade 9. Our previous lesson was on business organizations and company. Today, you will continue to learn about company. The learning objectives of this lesson are: define important terms for a company. Define types of company. Explain how to register a company. Explain the features of a company. Explain the advantages of a company. And explain the disadvantages of a company. Important terms that you should learn for a company. Companies Act. It is a legal document that outlines the laws and regulations to set up a company. Share. It is a voucher that represents a unit of capital. Shareholder. It is the one who invests in a company by buying its shares. Share certificate. It is an official document stating the number of shares that the shareholders have in the company. Dividend. It is the part of company's profits that is distributed to shareholders. Board of Directors. They are those who have been elected by shareholders to manage the company. Limited liability. It means that shareholders will lose only the initial amount invested in case the company goes bankrupt. Registrar of Companies. It is the authority that registers companies and issues the certificate of incorporation to allow the business to start its operation. Memorandum of Association. It is a legal document which provides details such as company's name, physical address of registered office, names of shareholders, and the distribution of shares. Articles of Association. It is a document that specifies the internal rules of a company. Certificate of Incorporation. It is a legal document showing the official date a company can start operating. Annual General Meeting, AGM. It is a yearly meeting where shareholders elect the directors of a company, and the annual report about the performance of business is presented and approved. Now, students, make some reflections. You may take some minutes to write down the important terms that you need to know for a company. Let us see the different types of company. There are two types of company. The first one is private limited company, and the second one is public limited company. What is a private limited company? It is a type of company that raises capital from a small number of shareholders such as friends and/or relatives. For example, cousin, brother, sister, friend, and aunt. What is a public limited company? It is a type of company that raises capital by issuing shares to members of the general public. It is usually larger than a private limited company. Registration of a company. There are 3 steps to follow when registering a company. They are: application to the Registrar of Companies, registration, certificate of incorporation. Remember, the Registrar of Companies is found in Port Louis. If you want to see how to register a company, you can access the website. The link is provided in additional materials. Registering a company. Step 1. Application forms. Requirements. To set up a company, owners must fill up application forms which are available at the Registrar of Companies. Step 2. Registration. Requirements. To register a company, 2 documents should be submitted to the Registrar of Companies. They are Memorandum of Association and Articles of Association. Memorandum of Association. This document contains name of the company, office address, names of shareholders and the number of shares held by each of them, share capital, and objectives of the company. Articles of Association. This document contains rules and regulations in the company, names of the directors, procedures to be followed at meetings, and rights, duties, and responsibilities of the directors. Step 3. Certificate of Incorporation. Requirements. The Registrar of Companies issues a certificate of incorporation. The business can then start its activities. Some reflections. Differentiate between the 2 types of company. List the steps to register a company. Now, let us have a look at the features of a company. Registration. A company must be incorporated at the Registrar of Companies. It then gets a separate legal identity from the owner's identity. Ownership. Shareholders are the owners of a company. They buy shares of a company. Each share has 1 voting right. Control. A company is managed by a board of directors. They are appointed to make decisions and control the business. The accounts are presented to the shareholders in an AGM, Annual General Meeting. Risk. Shareholders have limited liability. Profits. The company's profit is distributed to shareholders as dividend. Advantages of a company. A company has various advantages. They are limited liability, separate legal entity, management, continuity, and capital. Limited liability. In case of bankruptcy, the shareholders will lose only the amount of capital invested. Their personal belongings are not at risk. Separate legal entity. Companies have a different identity from their shareholders. The company and the shareholders are two different bodies. Continuity. A company continues to exist beyond the life of shareholders, or if shareholders leave the company. The shares must be sold to someone else. Capital. In a company, capital is raised through the selling of shares. Management. There is a board of directors in a company who are usually experts to take effective decisions to run and control the company. There are two main disadvantages of a company. The first one is registration, and the second one is disclosure of accounts. Registration. To register a company, it takes a lot of time. Disclosure of accounts. Companies must reveal details of its accounts to the registrar of companies and shareholders. The business has no privacy. Now, students, take some time and make some reflections. Explain the features of a company that you learned. List down the advantages of a company and list down the disadvantages of a company. Here are some links that you can use as additional materials. Well, that's all for today. Keep watching for upcoming videos. Until the next, goodbye.